pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda? We have 14 items here. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written. Moved by Bill, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rob, any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously. Is there any public comment for agenda items? However, this type of agenda we got tonight, we'll probably do a little back and forth anyway. Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My name is Larry Carter, 68 Rogers Court here in Sparta. First of all, thank you all for being willing public servants. While I have no clue why you do such a thing, I'm very grateful that you put yourselves out there. You spend some time teaching school, and unreasonable people are not foreign to me. And while I have to remind myself of this at times, it's also true that political discourse and debate can be done in a civil manner. Your ability to disagree without being disagreeable is no doubt put to the test regularly, but as taxpayers, I know expect that you will. Village and township officials have waxed and waned over the years in their ability to get along. Big decisions are ahead for both local bodies, and time lost in petty disputes is time wasted. You are not elected nor paid as little as it is to be unnecessarily adversarial. You are elected to govern in a cooperative, what's best for our citizens manner. My hope is that you'll be able to do just that. If I was a township trustee and I had a question, like number 3 on your agenda, regarding anything concerning Sparta Township Historical Commission, I first want to check out their viability. With an average age of 72 years old, how long can a group that experience continue? Without an injection of youth, this group won't last long. I lead a nonprofit called Sparta Historical Friends. We exist to fulfill grant proposals submitted by the STHC. Recently, the Friends received a $20,000 donation by Mr. and Mrs. Vern and Bev Pearson, and with their blessing, we put it in an interest-bearing account at Choice 1. We plan to use that interest to annually offer a $1,500 working grant to a 14 to 18-year-old student living in Sparta Township. The student will be chosen based on his or her written essay describing why familiarity with local history should be important to Sparta Township. Along with that chosen student, we are inviting a small number of additional students who would not be receiving the working grant to join a young historians club similar to one that existed prior to COVID and was disbanded at that time. Regardless whether the village of Sparta becomes the city of Sparta, and you all have to figure out what to do with the library and the fire department and the historical commission, you will have a group of people interested in local history at work to make the commission younger. Whether STHC ends up in the building next door or in the civic center, or whether they remain at its current location, that same group of people are willing to do the work to maintain an active and productive historical commission, and the Sparta Historical Friends will be there to continually back them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Larry. Anybody else got a comment at this time? Hearing none, we'll continue. Next item would be approval of minutes, June 12th, 2025. Motion to approve. Move by Bill to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second by Barb. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously. Approval of the minutes, special meeting June 30th, 2025. Motion to approve. Moved by Bill to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jason. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously. The next item is our treasurer's report.
Building report.
was actually great for once. I can't believe it.
You got her, Dave.
Practice me.
Put this day down in history.
Motion to approve treasurer's report.
Bill has made a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Is there a second?
Second.
And second by Barb. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay. That's unanimously. Now the building department monthly report, which is a report, total building 6, building permits. Total mechanical 12, total plumbing 8, total electric 9, total zoning 6. That's just for your information.
Not many, right?
Not bad. Next item is approval of the bills.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Rob to approve payment of the bills. Is there a second? Second by Ashley. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously. Next item is the assessment administration service agreement, and Cliff Turner is our assessor. He does a wonderful job. He's here to approach the board with this contract.
Good evening. Cliff Turner, Sparta Township Assessor, 7173 Oak Shore Drive, Twin Lake, Michigan. Bank hasn't got it yet. This year, it's kind of unique. It's my 48th anniversary of being a licensed appraiser and certified assessor. It would have been my 43rd year of marriage. It is my 20th anniversary as assessor of Sparta Township. And some say it's my first anniversary of actually doing the job correctly.
I didn't say that.
As you know, it was a good year, not a fantastic year like when we had the frenzy right after the COVID. The property was very, very sought after. The markets have stabilized here in the last year or so. Most notably this year, 26 is our audit year. And we were able to achieve a perfect score in 21. And, you know, our goal is always perfection, but we try to settle for excellence. Any questions, comments, concerns?
You do a great job.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm a lucky man. I've been here 20 years, and if this is my last year, it's fine with me. I enjoy the people I work with, and I enjoy the job itself. I've built some good relationships over the years with business people and local citizens.
You guys give us a hard time in the office.
Pardon?
Did you give us a hard time in the office?
I have one comment.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to make it a 2-year contract.
Oh, boy.
And the only reason that we have an out on it anyway, it doesn't matter. If we make it 6 year, you still gotta give 60 days. notice.
Actually, it's 30.
Whatever,
But
it's
I
30
had
days.
to change it before you know I had it.
This way you get through 26, and if you decide to stay to 27, we don't have to do this again. It's all set.
Okay,
And if you don't want to get out of it, and if you do, you still give us a 30-day notice.
okay. That's put me 50 years in the
50,
profession.
try to make it 50.
Try to make it 50.
Perfect.
Just one other comment. I was talking to Marcy yesterday, and I've been going to my mechanic for like over 15 years, and we are the best of friends now. But the first year I went to him, and I looked at my bill, and I said, God, Keith, that's pretty steep. He points to the sign behind him above the service counter, and it says, cheap labor isn't good. Good labor isn't cheap. So hopefully I'm in that good labor category.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept Cliff's contract, changing the date from August 31st, 26 to August 31st, 27.
Been moved by bill to approve Cliff Turner's contract, but just changing, the end of contract, August 31st of 2027.
I'll second.
And second, by Barnes. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously, Cliff, and
Thank you so
thanks,
much.
really looking
Thank
forward
you.
to working with you.
It took me 2 years.
Yeah. And the next item is, Historical Commission Research Facility Trade for Civic Center or Village Office. And, the Historical Commission members, some of the members are here tonight, and, Doug, did you have anything you wanna say about this item?
Just what's on the letter that we wrote you, but, early this spring, the village came to us and suggested that we make a trade at our research center for the community building. And we've been playing along with that idea all summer. A week ago, 2 weeks ago, I got a phone call from Bob, and he said, "Oh, we think you better have the bank building instead." And my initial reaction was, it's not big enough. And it's still not big enough. We had our meeting last week, and the board, Township Historical Commission Board, voted to get the Civic Center if that option is still out there. It's big enough to have 3 of our museums, still have an open meeting room. The main building is big enough for one museum if we tore everything on the inside of it. And the only good thing about the main building is it's got a lot of storage in the basement, but that doesn't help us to have, we want a village and city museum, we already have a military museum, and we want to have a farming tool museum. And then it fit nicely into the Civic Center building. It's been brought up that maybe the township couldn't afford to keep it. That's up to the township to decide. We looked at the write-out of all their expenses last year, and we couldn't come up with the amount of money that they said they'd come up with, other than the fact that they changed out all the furnaces and heaters and air conditioners, so. Couple of points, we have to mow the grass. I've already talked to Chuck about that. He said, 2 minutes, that's done. Then somebody said, well, we got a power washer once in a while. I said, so we get the power washer out and we power wash it. That's not a big deal. If we get it, the military museum is still there. Behind the military museum, there's 3 rooms. One's a kitchen, one's a bathroom, and one's a storage. We clean that all out, that becomes more storage that we have to store some of the stuff that you guys are running out of room with. Plus, there's rooms up by the kitchen that can be opened up for storage. But like my letter said, this is your decision. And that's what we hope for. That's all I can say.
Well, thanks a lot, Doug, appreciate it. And then Jim, did you have anything to say?
Sure, I can add to that. As was mentioned, we of course approached the township and the historic commission with the idea of trading for the civic center a few months ago. And then as we're getting further along in that, we heard some concerns that maybe it's too big and maybe long term it was a little too costly. So we came up with the idea of maybe trading the bank building instead. It is smaller, of course, a little more affordable. It is adjacent to you guys. Obviously, we know that there was some interest initially in it, maybe for extra room for the township. Obviously, this is a little bit of a different idea. As was mentioned, it's up to you guys, and it's also up to the village council. So they're evaluating, both options. one thing I'd like to put out there, I don't know if you're interested in either or you'd only be interested in the Civic Center, or you'd only be interested in, the bank building. But I think that'd be good for us to know as we plan for our July 21st meeting, so we can react to that. So, happy to answer any questions.
Jim, could I have your address?
Oh, sure, 9743 Baker Road, Greenville.
Thank you.
Jim Lauer, village manager. Thank you, Caleb.
Jim,
I appreciate you coming today, Jim.
Yeah, no problem.
has Trini firmly said they're taking the other half, the other building?
So, they put in a official offer for it, yep, they did, and then we have 2 other offers, for the whole building. They would also be interested in taking the whole building too, so we basically have 3 offers for the whole building. We also have the situation worked out with Trini to potentially take the barber shop piece and then do the bank trade with you guys, so that is firm, yeah, that they're very, very interested in that, and then, the other people that submitted offers are interested, in the whole building too. So.
Well, there's definitely advantages and disadvantages to both locations, you know, so I think I've kind of went back and forth on this, Jim, somewhat on my mind, you know. It's kind of important what the historical commission would like to work with better. So, you know, there's more room there, and I think Marcy's done a little more research on this.
So basically, we have 3 choices. We can do nothing, leave it as is, we can trade to the village office, trade to the civic center. I had definitely went back and forth. I was definite I wanted the civic center, and then I was like, nope, the village would be better, and then I was, nope, and I went back and forth, and no, this is stupid. So I did some more research. Yesterday I went with Doug, and I went over to the historical commission, and I saw what all stuff they had in there, what room they needed. They're also very concerned about keeping the memorial garden. If they have the civic center, the lines could be redrawn, and that could still work. I talked to the pastor that is renting the portion of the building yesterday and asked if he would still be interested in renting it, even if we raised the rent like $100 a month, and he said yes. He was also wondering if they could still do like a women's lunch or something in the big room. I told him that you know, if we did this, it might be a possibility. Like Doug said, we talked to Chop. He's willing to do the mowing. I even asked Trini, because I went and talked to Trini too, because I wanted to know myself how interested he was in either one part or both parts. I guess I talked to Joe, I didn't talk to Trini. They are definitely interested in at least the barber shop. They would like the whole thing. I said, what about the basement? And so he said, I don't know, there are people that buy floors of buildings. So I don't know if that would be, and then I was also joking with him. I said, if we'd like to get the whole thing, you can put a window in the back and poke through lunch once in a while. He's like, so, anyway, we had a nice conversation about it, but they are very interested in it. They are growing, they need a bigger kitchen, would like to move their bathrooms. I guess I'm kind of back at the Civic Center, that I think we could make a deal with the Historical Commission, knowing that, as long as they know that it's our building, maybe rework their budget somehow, and get a little rent from some people to do some justs, like the Celtic Fest or the Lions, to keep it more, events for the community.
Civic.
And not personal events, not open houses and stuff like that, is what I was thinking, for the big room in there. I just feel bad that that building might not be a community building anymore. And that part really bothers me. So, I guess that's what I'm at after all the conclusions. I love the bank building, I love the storage, and then I don't know, I'm gonna have to work something out if we ever had to sell it, but I don't see us wanting to do that right away anyway, so. But, And that's what I found out.
Well, thanks, Marcy. What's your ideas, Jason?
I guess I support the Civic Center and it seems to work well for them. And I talked to Marcy earlier, I agree with her, and I like keeping that for community stuff as opposed to, trying to earn some income with more individual things. I like having it there that you can host things that are involved in the community, so.
What's your thoughts, Bill?
I think I would go with the Civic Center. I think it's the most logical thing, it's easy to move, it's across the street. It's good to keep their memorial garden. I think when Jim and we met prior, we could split the driveway down the middle so they could have parking, and it was just a property line adjustment, so there was not a big cost in doing surveys or whatever. No big legal deal on the description, so I would be in favor of going to the Civic Center.
How about you, Ashley?
I agree, the Civic Center, I think it best fits what they're looking for. They're able to keep the garden, there's extra space that we could utilize. The office staff at, the township can, work with the historic commission on the extra space. We can do managing the rental of the church part of that and work together with them when it comes to the extra things that are needed for that building. So I think the Civic Center best suits for the historic commission.
Well, thanks, Jason. What do you think, Barb?
Initially, I was all for the People's Bank building, because I just, historically, I just absolutely love that building. But all in all, I think the Civic is a better idea. I think it's a better fit. I think we can find ways to utilize storage over there as well. I think if we go through some of those rooms and clean that out, I think it would definitely benefit, and I think that's the perfect place for when we need a larger meeting space, absolutely. So, yeah, I'm for the Civic Center.
What do you think, Bob?
Well, I went on the tour. First Doug had his hand up. You were gonna say something. I'd like to hear what you had to say.
I just wanted to ask Jim, if we don't get the Civic Center, are you gonna sell it? We'd have to move our military museum?
That would be the plan, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
So, I would like both buildings, actually. But I hate to see the Civic Center be not able to be available for the community. That kind of, whether or not, you feel you need it or not, but I feel that was built from the community foundation, maybe a grant to build it years ago, I don't remember. I wasn't around here then, but. Do we have to trade that other building? Is that what we're talking about, is trading one? Because I had mentioned the bill, I know Bob had a clause in here about something, and I said maybe regardless of who owned it, if you ever came to the point where you're gonna sell it, you'd split the value, whatever money you got, 50-50 with the village or the township, no matter what, who owned it, there, if we owned it or whatever, in order to protect, if that's an interest of, if that's what they're worried about, because I do feel it's for the community, so. But if the historical commission wants it, we can swing it, I would rather go that route. I do feel long-term for us here, the township, I don't know, it'd be nice to have that other half here of this portion and be able to utilize the basement here. I don't think it's big enough for the historical commission. I agree with you there. By the time, even if we try to use it or you try to use it, it's just not enough. It's a great, has great character. But I guess I'd hate to see the Civic Center go away.
I would like to know if we can get the safe out of the People's Building for the historical commission.
Well, that'd be up to the new owners.
That'd be awful hard to move.
I mean the one that's in their lobby,
Oh,
not the one in back.
Those are my thoughts.
I guess, like I said, flip-flopped on this quite a bit, but I guess on the whole civic center, it seems to be the wishes of the board and the historical commission. I used to be the lone ranger on everything.
Do you need a motion?
I think it would be good to have a motion. Now, Jim did mention if there was any interest, I think, in both of them. Was it that you wanted, or?
Oh,
I don't
I'm
know.
sorry, maybe I wasn't clear, I didn't know if you were interested in either or, like,
Either
let's say,
or,
for
yeah, that's
example,
what I
like,
think.
if the village council ultimately decided that they didn't, say, wanna do the civic center,
Yeah.
you know, trade, I didn't know if you wanted to have the bank building as a backup, but either way is fine, whatever you guys wanna decide on that.
So
But I don't really think both's a possibility without
No.
buying one of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with
that.
the either or, I think that's what.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's anything that the board would entertain in their motion or not, or whether they just would like to have the trade, the old, I always call it the old malt shop, but that's probably.
Well, I'd make the motion that we proceed with transferring ownership between the existing historical commission with the village for the civic center.
Okay, it's been moved by Bill that we work towards transferring ownership of the civic center and the current historical building research center. Is that okay? So with that motion, is there a second?
Second.
I'll second, it was second by Marcy, I think it was first.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously. Next item is a prisoner of war missing in action recognition day resolution. I always go down there and present that every year at the Michigan Veterans Facility, and it's one of the most important things I do all year. So I entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
I'll make the motion to approve the
Moved
resolution.
by Marcy to approve the resolution, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Barb, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously. The next item is number 5, the planning commission recommendation, dwellings and accessory buildings regulations. We had a request for the barn dominiums, so to speak, the houses that have the large accessory building attached. And it made us look at our dwelling requirements and our accessory building as well, and the planning commission unanimously approved this. Barb, do you have any points of interest or anything?
I believe Kevin really laid it out exactly the way we had discussed, and I think this definitely, we've had more than one inquiry now, and I think he did a great job, so I would hope that we would pass this.
I entertain a motion
Okay, just one question.
to, excuse me.
Did somewhere in here, did it describe, eliminating the crawl space as a basement requirement?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just looked at it, just as you, before you asked. Dwellings will no longer be required to build on top of a basement or crawl space.
There you go. And I happened to, in my spare time, I decided what was a good example of square footage usage and additional things, so I came up with a chart and gave it to everybody at the planning commission, and I thought, here's a good example. Well, they kept it, they didn't change it, I was hoping you'd make it bigger or something, I don't know. But obviously, everybody agreed with it, so.
Yep.
I think it's good for the township, it's good for the residents, it definitely increases your tax base. Everybody wants a bigger building.
Yep.
I'll make the motion to approve the ordinance for barn dominiums.
Then moved by Marcy to approve the planning commission recommendation. dwellings and accessory building regulations. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jason. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously. Planning Commission reappointments is next item, number 6. I asked Gary Hartman if he'd like to stay on the Planning Commission. He said he'd like to. So I'm recommending Terry Hartman for the Planning Commission. I think Terry does a good job. I know we've had some tough issues that came up with kind of tough crowds, and that's always hard, no matter who's chairing the meeting, so. I think in general, it's always been good to me over all these years, and I go to all the planning commission meetings, except for I missed this Tuesday. I was at Cedar Point. But anyways, I'm all shook up now, right? But, no, they always work so hard, they really do. They're a hard working group. You know, used to, we didn't meet that many times, you know, for quite some time. And you guys have been meeting every month for the last, what, 4 years? So they work hard and they do a good job, so. Whatever the board's
Like it's a tough, not an easy job, and to find somebody who wants to do it, I think I would make a motion to approve that he be reappointed.
Moved by Rob that Terry Hartman be reappointed to planning commission. I think it's a 3-year term. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jason. Any discussion, further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously. Next item, next person would be Linda Anderson. And, Linda does a wonderful job as well. She is here tonight to, Linda, may want to give a speech?
No, I'm here to support the civics.
Okay. Well, thank you. So anybody, entertain a motion to reappoint
I'll make the
Linda
motion.
Anderson for a 3-year term, and Barb made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Marcy. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously, and, Tim Driscoll. He also said he'd like to be on this. Motion to approve Tim Driscoll.
Motion approved, Tim.
Moved by Rob to approve, Tim Driscoll for reappointment to the planning commission 3-year term. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Bill. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, signify by saying nay. Passed unanimously. Now, next item is the Nash Creek Intercounty Drain Payment. Now, Ken Yunker is here tonight. I asked Ken to come tonight, and I appreciate you coming, Ken. So, but we gotta figure out, what the best method is to paying this bill, whether we wanna take the money out of, existing CD, or whether we wanna break it down over the 15-year period. I think the interest rate's like 5.5%. That method, you probably end up paying $300,000 worth of interest. But it's all up to the board, how they wanna do this, how they wanna pay it.
So I want to be clear on, maybe Ken, you can help me with this. I know we had an attorney write this up, but it's got a lot of attorney lingo in it, but, so let's assume that we don't pay it all up in one chunk, that we make payments, or we decide to pay half of it down, and then are you locked, let's say, and then 2 years from now, we decide, hey, we want to pay it off. Are we still paying for that 15 years, that the remaining, say, 12, 13 years, or?
No, you pay interest on the money that you are borrowing. So if you pay it off, it stops
It stops, but
for you. So,
But you still have that bond that you.
Correct. So what happens is that interest still has to be paid by the district because we're committed to the bond. where on a house it's different. So in that sense, we still have to pay it. So if we don't, if our contingency isn't enough to cover that, then later we come back with another assessment to cover that cost. So then it just gets spread out over the whole district. So that's why we highly encourage people that are gonna do it, to try and get it done. If you're gonna prepay up front. My predecessors didn't do that, they just put it out there and give the option. But when I get assessed, I like that option to be able to choose at the time if I can pay it up, then that's what I wanna do. And we find on an average, 75% of our projects are prepaid. So it's, I'm glad we offer that. It gives the people options. But it also gotta make it easy enough, manageable enough for those that can. And that's where the 15 years comes in. So.
What happens, I understand that there's some people who have filed, appeals on this. So what would happen if it was appealed?
Well, then the court selected a panel of 3 people that will hear it. Those 3 people, if they determine that relief is in line for these people, then they have to decide who's gonna pay the difference. And so, what we've seen this year across the state, when that's happened, they just tacked it on to the municipalities.
Is there any,
So it would be split between the village, and I'm saying that's what they do, but that's what we've been seeing this year on these panels.
and there's no chance whatsoever of putting this project off?
Oh, no, that's done.
No.
It's law.
So if we pay in full now, we could get another assessment done where the township pays more, other individuals pay more, the village pays more. Because that money has to be sent out, whether the farmers are bringing this somewhere, other people are bringing this somewhere, that money needs to be spread out. So if you have all these people say, yeah, I'm gonna pay over 15 years, but then it's all paid off, so eventually, in 10 years from now, I guess I'm confused on when we can just, everybody can just get another assessment roll, and all of a sudden I'm on it, he's on it, the township's on it.
You'll know that right away.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that right away what's gonna happen. I've been down this road before,
Okay.
and nothing changed. All right, it's, our process that Kent County has done historically forever. That's one issue. So we follow that, nothing's changed. It's been ruled before, it's been upheld by court before, and I really don't expect that'll be different. But again, you just don't know when you go to court. The other thing is, we've assessed this district this way, the way we did it now, 2 times before this, and there was no appeal. So, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But it wouldn't, what theirs is, their interest that they would not be paying is a lot different than what yours is. Your assessment's substantially larger than what they have as a village, or township, I'm sorry. So your interest is, we figured 300,000, what theirs is isn't even close to that.
Ours is 600.
No,
He said the
the
interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did get a call from a resident today, and she said she wanted to pay hers off in full, but I said, I don't think that's necessarily the final number. They wanna know if they're getting an invoice, or what they got.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of those calls, and that's typical on our other projects we implemented this year. There's another, when we have the final ruling of the court and everything is now set, then we will send out a final number.
So is it still gonna be due July 31st,
The payoff, yeah, that doesn't change.
even if they get the final number 2 days before that? I
Yeah,
mean,
but because it's, number one, we have a timeline we have to meet legally. So we can't play with that timeline. The other thing is, they already know, it's already known where they're at right now. So they know they're gonna be at least where they are right now. If the court changes anything, there will be some adjustment, but it won't be a large adjustment. So they'll have to continue to figure that this timeline still stays.
But your meeting's not till the 25th, I just don't know how you're gonna mail things out as a invoice and have them be able to pay it by the 31st.
Well, that'll, I guess, have to be determined by the law, by the court, or the, post office. So we'll have to work through that, if has to be a delay.
Well, I just need to
I
know what to tell them.
haven't, I'm not working that schedule personally, that's what Angie's handling. So she has that down better, but that deadline's still, because we have guidelines we have to follow with the bonds and the county and everything else. We gotta stay on track.
When do you go for, purchase the bonds?
We're hoping for the 25th, no, that's the hearing. And then the 31st, I think, is, I don't know, that time's been changing. So I just got another email, but I didn't pay attention to what the new date is for the bond attorney. So it's at the end of the month. We're looking at the end.
So
of
it
the
could be after the 31st?
month. It could be, yeah.
Are you sending something out after the 31st then, saying that the bonds have been purchased?
No, the bonds won't be purchased until early payment deadline is done. And so we get 12 days for early payment.
So we're all gonna pay, you're gonna either pay your bill in those 12 days, and then they'll find out how much money they received from early.
12 days after the 31st, is that what you're saying?
After the course, so it'll be the 25th.
After the 25th?
Yeah. We usually give 12 days. If we can still meet that timeline that's required by the bond attorney, then that's what we do, we go 12 days. So those timelines right now are shifting by the day. So I can't give you an absolute right now. Our court date changed 3 times.
Is
so
it
who knows
work
that
days
much?
or is it calendar days?
That's a good question, I don't have that answer. You'd have to check with Angie. I'm guessing it'd be calendar days. Any other questions?
The fellow in the audience had a question.
Sure.
So since we don't know for sure when the due date is, or how much we have to pay, what if someone pays it 2 days late? Are they automatically on the 15-year schedule?
There's a grace period in there.
Because it's really confusing here what we have to pay.
Well, because we don't have it.
So
we can't give it to you, so you will get a notice.
But if I came down here, say tomorrow or
Yeah.
next week, and paid mine, the estimate, then if that's not the right number, we just.
Well,
adjust
we're
that
not
later?
accepting payments right now.
Okay. So you're gonna have like, what, 1 or 2 days to accept payments for your late?
No, we'll usually go 12 days is what our policy is.
It's kind of.
So the bond people schedule accordingly. And now that we have a court date, I assume it's locked. But I've had courts changing on me. That's not uncommon. I assume that I have not seen the bond attorney's bond sale structured. Because there's a lot of work to do before we can do the bond.
I just want to know when I have to have it paid.
And you will know as soon as we can give you a firm.
Okay.
Because there'll be a letter sent out. So, I would recommend that you have somebody from the township at that court hearing.
That's the
Because-
25th, July 25th, 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Because if that board decides to put it on the township, you may want to have a voice on that.
Okay.
Say that again?
I Says if the board decides to make the change, the shift
Okay,
that's being requested,
okay,
and they put it all on the township to be paid, you're gonna wanna have a voice on that.
they're gonna decide that day?
Yeah, they gotta decide that time, yeah. At the end of that meeting.
I gotta take my son to the airport that day, but I don't know what time his flight is. So, I'm sure there's some other board members that could make it, if I can't make it.
But if I read that correctly, it's from 8 AM until 4:30, we'd have to sit there all day?
Because the process goes, they have, after they have the hearing, then they have to go on site and inspect. So it goes, the last one I went through, it was all day long. Yeah. That's why they like to start them early, and I say, we get them in one day. Else it carries over into 2. That's long.
I sincerely doubt they'll be there on Saturday, the 26th.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. Any other questions?
No, we just have to wait to find out what our assessment is going to be. And then,
The correct assessment, even though it's $595,000.
yeah,
Today, it could be $800,000
well,
at
if
the
we just,
end of July, so.
Well, the village could change as well.
No, they're not appealing.
yeah,
Neither are we,
Right, but we have 5 properties that are.
they are. Those
that are in the township, not in the village. So it's those that are in the township, because they're appealing, it could come back on ours.
No, they could go on the village too.
Well, that's what I just said, theirs could change too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a result of that, yeah.
Okay, so yours could change too.
All right.
Well, thank you for coming tonight, Ken.
Yeah.
Well, what's the board's feeling about making this payment?
I mean, if we stick to the $595,000, I'm thinking we need to pay it in full. Based upon what we have and other recommendations, as the auditor said, we would be in a safe spot to do so. But after hearing that, I would say whoever goes to the meeting and we get a new number, we probably would need to get back together and discuss it, depending on the significance.
It may not change.
You can make a
Right.
motion to do it if it stays the same, and then we only have to re-meet if it changed.
Yeah,
With a reasonable number.
yes, and what that number
Even though I
is.
disagree with the whole thing, paying it upfront probably is the most beneficial for the township.
Yeah, cause it was several $100,000 for.
Yeah, anything that lessens the bond, that's gonna be good for them.
We'd have to rearrange some budgeting, we'd have to really,
I'm planning on getting, some budgets out to everybody, so we can look them over maybe at our next meeting, and figure out how to come up with a plan to
yeah.
recoup something.
So my suggestion is we pay the $595,000 in full.
Is that a motion or something?
Yes. Not a motion.
It's been moved by Ashley that we pay $595,000.
Because we are not gonna be meeting again before that judgment, do we wanna have some leeway in that number? So we don't have to meet again?
Yes, I
To
just don't
approve
know
that.
what that number, I mean, 20,000,
I don't know how we
100,000,
would know.
like, I have no,
I don't know how much more we can afford, actually.
yeah,
I'm a
I
little-
just would feel more comfortable if we did a quick,
I mean, we could put a little leeway in it, but I don't know how much more we can afford, this is like really taxing us for, we only have $900,000 in our fund balance,
yeah.
and we also are paying for $120,000 elevator, so.
Yeah.
It's really like, is a huge burden for us.
I have the cash in the choice one CD, which is $526,000. Working tile is $114,000, so that would be cashed in. And based upon what I've heard, I feel like it's inconsistent and it's messy and it's unknown. So for us to give a leeway of anything more than $595,000, I think it would be best to come back together and like discuss it more.
You could pull a special meeting.
Unless it's a few dollars, I would, right,
Thousands or dollars?
dollars. I you don't know what it's gonna be, so
Anything under 1,000?
yeah.
So like, do the 596.
You could do it 600,000 or below.
That's fine, yeah.
Did you wanna change that motion then, Ashley?
Yeah, and then what are we got cashing in the choice one CD and the mercantiles bank?
There's no penalties on either one of them.
Yeah, choice ones and it was fine, even though I just renewed it. Mercantile, I'm still working on getting that in my name. So that would give us 600, that would give us over the 600,000.
I'll second her motion.
Actually, so you made the motion that, to pay it at not exceeding $600,000.
Yeah, that's correct.
The green assessment, and then it was seconded by Marcy. Any further discussion?
Roll call.
Yeah. So if you agree with the motion and second, please say yes. If you do not, please say no. Rob?
I'm gonna have to say yes.
Yes. Barb?
Unfortunately, yes.
Barb, yes. Ashley?
Yes.
Good, yes. Bill?
Yes, with reservation.
Bill? Yes. Jason?
Yes.
Marcy?
Yes.
Myself, yes. That passed unanimously. Okay. The next item is, Fire Board recommendation, Fire Authority. At our last Fire Board meeting, we talked about, becoming an authority, and Jim Lawler was on the video call, and he explained a lot of things to us, which was very beneficial. And I think it would be better myself if the fire committee was actually an authority, because my understanding is that they could cover their own money. But I'll hand it over to you, Jim, if you can, and you're very knowledgeable on this.
Okay, well, thank you, Dale, thank you, board members, yeah, we talked about this at the fire board
Say,
meeting.
hopefully my minutes captured it.
I think it did,
Yeah,
yeah, I think it
yeah.
did, you know, Bill and I talked about this, back and forth quite a bit, you know, as part of the city of the conversation as well. You know, at that time, we were talking about the possibility of just switching to a completely millage, you know, backed fire department under the authority, but, you know, out of those conversations came this idea of simply switching the structure, to a fire authority and leaving the, current funding the same. So that's what we talked about with the fire board, so it's really just a structural change, and what that would mean is the fire board, so the vision that we had was, would likely be the same people, so 3 appointed by the township, 3 appointed by the village or city, and they would then run the fire department. We wouldn't have the budget come back in front of the township and come back in front of the village or city. They would have the actual control of the assets, the budget, you know, all of those things, and then the township and the village or city would contract with the authority for the service at the same rate that we currently have. So as far as what happens with the city, doesn't have to be decided tonight or at any point, you know, in the near future. And we think the change, whether the village were to become a city or not, is beneficial. We think that, you know, that were to not happen for whatever reason, it's still a win for the community, for the village and the township, because it really creates a clearer line of authority for the fire department. Did I encapsulate that, what you wanted?
Yeah, and then I got the question to make sure of, because, it's pretty important, that if we can establish a fire authority in enough time that, the fire, board could borrow the money that they need for the $1 million grant for the station improvements. Can it be in timely sequence here? Because later on in our agenda here tonight, the board is gonna talk about this $200,000 allocation, because it appears to me now, we're not gonna have this money. But and to me, the logical, or to me, a logical compromise, so to speak, would be to go to the authority and let the fire committee borrow their own money.
Yeah, I think that the fire chief could probably speak to that a little better. I know he's been working with the fire board's attorney. So the fire board decided, instead of having the township attorney, the village attorney, and the fire attorney, all three, you know what I mean, delve into it, it probably made financial sense just to have the one do it. So Dan's been working with the attorney, so I'll kind of let him answer that. I know he's been taking the lead on the paperwork with the grant as well. So I think that's a better question for Dan. I can't really answer that, but from the village's standpoint, speaking just purely from the village, we'd be happy to work with you guys on doing it quickly. We're fine with that. We don't have an issue, because we think it's better in any event. You know, in any eventuality, we think that the authority is the way to go. So we'd be happy to work with you guys.
I think to establish authority day one, we probably appoint certain people to be on it, but I think the fire authority members actually have to be elected.
No, we can make them appointed. We can make, you know, under the parameters of it, just like we appoint the members of the SRA authority. So we can appoint them. Like, my vision for it was that the township would appoint 3 and the village would appoint
Right,
3.
I understand that part. I would have thought they had to be elected.
They do not.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
Okay, yeah, I'm not necessarily an expert on it, but I have looked into it quite a bit, so happy to answer any other questions, and I know we're doing a deep dive into it with the fire board's attorneys too.
Wonderful.
I have another quick question.
Yes.
For the authority, would the ratio stay the same, the 1/3, 2/3, or what is it, the 43%? And would that supporting the fire department change a little bit more onto the village, more so than the township then? Or?
Not as of today. We would leave everything funding wise the same.
Okay.
Now, if the cityhood came to fruition, Bill and I would work out the numbers on how the millage would work, and how the village or the city at that point would backfill the gap of the GF, you know, component. And
Yeah.
we worked the numbers on that. So I know that's a little bit perspective, but for the today issue, we'd leave everything the same, and then we'd balance it out under a cityhood scenario.
Because heading towards 26, all the villages have to be renewed at that point. So then there's another decision that the authority would have to make on how they're gonna renew these villages.
Right, so for example, at that time, you know, if it was still a village and township, the township could run the villages, or the authority could actually directly run the villages, or if there was a city, the city could have a millage in the city that's X amount, and the township could have a millage in the township that's X amount. My vision would be likely the city would do it millage based and then roll back the general fund levy, just because then people can see a little clearer where their money's going, but again, that's pretty hypothetical, and it's a little bit far out there. But to answer your question, for today, we just leave everything the same with the funding.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You bet, thank you. Dan?
Well, I think, Jim explained that pretty well as far as this is not a new concept. We've had this discussion before, trying to become a little more universal across the board, so that the 1/3, 2/3 has always been that red flag that gets thrown up is in there, and this would help start that process of balancing it out, I feel. Again, moving forward, we would be looking at rolling the millages, the 2 quarter mills that are currently in there. If we become an authority by this time frame of the election, or the next renewal from them, we would just roll that into a half mill, then it would just roll into the authority as far as that, you know, keeping that still under the aspect of the authority. for that funding balance is there, and most of those were used for building expansion or renovation, truck acquisitions and repairs, major building, repairs that we would have coming forward. And again, the funding would remain currently an allocated fund from the village and the township, again, on a contracted type services that, you know, we would set a dollar amount, and, you know, you wouldn't have me come to you every year for a budget that I'm gonna ask for an increase of this. It would be just a set dollar amount at that point. If for some reason we needed an increase, we could then come back. Long-term goal, maybe it would become 100% millage-based driven fire department, you know, that way that it's split adequately, equally across everybody across the board, so.
Now, you were going to, I think, talk with the people that are in charge of the grant about whether we became an authority, whether that would make any difference with the grant.
Well, I haven't got an answer back from them. The only thing I was able to get as far as that at this point was the attorney's name changed, because it was under Jim Scales, and now it's under our current attorney, Mark Nettleton. And I guess I'm not gonna jump ahead, but I know there's some discussion about the department allocation of funding, but I received an email this afternoon that our funds have been approved at the federal level. There's about 4 or 5 things that need to be done, and we're capable to go out for bid. So we are moving along on this, so I don't even know if the authority would necessarily be completed in the time for us to start this. This might be a mid-process thing as we move forward, and I got a couple of ideas or suggestions maybe as we get into the fire department allocation later.
Oh, okay.
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 Anything from our attorney? On writing the
As I walked in the door, I had an email that I received at like 6:55 tonight, so I haven't even had a chance to.
From our attorney?
From our attorney. On the authority and that. I haven't even had a chance to, again, to review that, so.
Okay.
So I guess I'm hoping that the board tonight would, agree with the fire board recommendation that we'd like to set up a fire authority.
Just a comment, I was at the last fire board meeting that they had, and learned quite a bit. I see this as really your only option to, you know, for them to borrow money to get this grant, not lose it. And, the funding stays the same. Now, if they become a city, I know, but you've been talking with him and working something out, but, you know, I always went back to what the McGrath study said.
Right.
And the McGrath study said village is getting the way it is now, it's very pro for them. I mean, the run calls are right there and proximity, and I thought that might be if they became a city, that might be a way to do it. I think it was the formula was 40% SEV, 30% runs, and 30% population. And that's how you divvy up how much village would pay and township would pay.
That is a formula that was used in the McGrath study several years ago. That's good.
And that was a common, according to that person, that was a very common formula that was used across the board in a lot of fire departments.
But I think the easiest thing starting off today is the authority is continue with our current funding.
Right.
Don't change it until certain things happen. Cityhood, we need to do something with our current funding come the election in November when our existing millage expires. Those are the timeframes that we need to have to do something if the authority's in place. The authority has the ability to change these things. So I initially I was against an authority if it was gonna be all taxpayer funded based on millage. I didn't want to ask the taxpayers for more money. We've been paying for it before without doing it, so why do that? But based on this scenario, without having to do it, continue our current funding basis, I think becoming an authority is probably a step in the right direction for full autonomy for the fire department.
Yes.
I agree.
So is there any motion from any board member?
I'll make a motion to move forward with the fire authority.
forward with the fire authority. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jason. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed, signify by saying nay. That's unanimously. Now, the next item is change of attorney.
Were you guys able to review the proposal from a couple years ago? So it looks like his hourly rate, Michael's hourly rate is a little bit higher than what we pay now. But if I'm looking at comparing attorneys, I'm looking at, professionalism, quick response, language when it comes to, when he's helping us create documents. I think between the village having, the same, what is it? Oh, you guys have
the firm.
Yeah,
Same firm, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's just a lot of conflict there, so that's why we had to reach out to change attorneys, because there was the conflict of interest. So I think moving forward, just changing attorneys and having one attorney, represent us is very much needed at this time. I'm very impressed with Mr. Homier. So I think it's a good time to change over based upon what we have going on as a township and what we have coming in the future regarding legal services.
Basically, you're asking to change going forward and leave some existing stuff with Mr. Bloom.
So let Bloom finish his, I don't know what projects he's on, but let him finish what he has, but moving forward, when we need an attorney, we will stick to Homier.
I would say my biggest reason for changing would be the conflict of interest between the village and the township.
It's just a lot having to go back and forth and find, and then them catching up to speed on things, and I'm gonna be with his work.
Now, does that mean you're changing over so he would be handling the planning commission?
Mm-hmm. Moving forward. Zoning.
I understand that Cliff's been a little bit late in getting some things back. Is that true?
Yeah.
But I feel he also has a tremendous amount of experience for planning commission stuff that he's been doing too. That's not over the years, so.
Yes.
I think my idea would be to work with Mike Holmeyer, definitely in conflict of interest. And as you do this, getting a better feel for him. I do like my initial workings with him. He seems like a knowledgeable guy, very good, gives you a really good first impression. I've liked Cliff over the years. I guess I would like to stick with him and just see how this process works, and eventually, I'm sure Mike Homer would probably work into the job. I guess I think Cliff's done very well for many years, just really wouldn't want to just dump the guy. Feel this loyalty, I'm kind of a loyal. Okay.
I think, I'm very much for switching lawyers, he's been, Bloom didn't know anything about the drain stuff, he couldn't help us with that. Our auditor suggested, before I even told him we had a different lawyer, he said, if you're moving forward with a cityhood thing, he goes, there's a guy that's really, he goes, I'd highly recommend, he's from Foster Swift, he's like, I don't know his name, I'm like, Homier, and he goes, yeah, that's him, and so it was suggested by our auditor. I don't have any problem with Cliff finishing up things and things that he's been involved in the past or whatever, and still using him for those things, but I would love to see moving forward that we switch to Foster Swift and like Homier as our attorney.
Well, and I wanna add too that he has a team of people with expertise too, so
Right.
it's not like the drain. He was able to say, hey, this is not me, I have this person, no, I have this person.
Right.
I haven't seen that with Bloom. So, that's another positive thing to pull into it, that it stays within his firm.
I would actually like to make the motion that we switch to Foster Swift and use Michael Homier as our attorney going forward, and still allow Bloom to work on things that we've done with him in the past, since he's got the knowledge and stuff to do the things that he's in the middle of, or things that come up that he's helped us with the same thing in the past.
Then moving Marcy to, hire Mike Homier from Foster Swift to be our new attorney, allowing Cliff Bloom to finish up certain projects that he's currently working on.
I'd like to make a comment before we vote.
Well, we don't have a second yet, maybe we better get it on the table.
Okay.
But I'm assuming we would have a second. I don't know why.
Are you waiting for me to
Yeah,
say?
well, I don't
I'll
know.
second that.
Yeah.
I was waiting to see if anybody else wanted to, but I'll second Marcy.
So a second, good, so now we got a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any discussion?
I just feel that Cliff has done a good job in the past, and I think we owe him a review, versus just making a switch. Maybe some explanation on certain questions that we have in regards to what's caused delays and whatnot. I think he's done a great job. I think, yes, having, Mr. Lemire handle the, current situation, that we have before us is a good idea, seeing as how there is a conflict, with the law office. And they can't comment on them. But I do think we owe it to, Mr. Bloom to have a review first before change, a full change.
That's a good point. He mentioned to me that, he'd gladly go into closed session or talk about, his job and such, and then, at no cost to the township. Any further discussion? All those in favor, I guess, we'll do a roll call on this one. If you're in favor of Marcy's motion and Ashley's second, please say yes. If you don't, please say no. We'll start out with Marcy.
Yes?
Jason?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Ashley?
Yes.
Barb?
No.
No. Rod?
Say no.
And myself, no. So that did pass, so 4-3. Okay. Next item is earned sick time. I'll hand this one over to Marcy. I don't understand it.
Well, that's good. So there's a new ESTA policy that we are required to have, because we don't have enough employees. I think it was supposed to be passed in February unless you have fewer than 10 employees. The only employees that this really affects is our 2 deputies. I asked them to write a policy that was front-loaded, because I don't wanna have to keep track of how many hours everybody works. We don't have any of that computerized, it's just all on a sheet of paper that they hand me every month, and so that would be a lot of extra work. So basically what they would get is 20 hours paid sick time a week, which equals 20 hours paid sick time a year, sorry. Which is a little over 2 days, because they work 9-hour days, so, if they don't use it, they lose it, basically is what this says. I wasn't super happy with how this was written, but I wanted it as easy as it could be, and, this is what Bloom's office provided me, so.
I was gonna say, I still have a question. I'm sure in the last MTA, there was a whole big, lots of pages on the new ESTA policy. And in one spot, it says Township Public Officials, and it names them supervisor, clerk, treasurer, trustee, deputy clerk, treasurer, supervisor, and a whole list of others are excluded.
That's not what I understood from our attorney, but, and from,
I get that, but as you read through it, it's like, they have to have fixed hours, they gotta come in this day, and they gotta be accountable to somebody.
right.
The board, well, they're not accountable to the board. So I'm not even sure they're actually eligible. That would be my first statement.
I was even told that my election workers were eligible, but they're only eligible for the time they work, and then if they don't work for 2 months, which there's usually 2 months between each election, thank goodness, because they take 2.5 months to do, they lose the time that they already built up, so they sort of are, but they're sort of not.
I know it, so either the MTA is wrong, or everybody interprets it wrong.
Is there any way to get a clear answer from Bloom? in
How about from
his-
MTA?
Well, this came from MTA, their
That
last
was in their
June,
newsletter.
their whole June one was 5 pages long. And it still did not come out and say they're exempt, but it does say public officers, and included the deputy clerk, deputy treasurer, highlighted.
Are excluded from this ESTA policy.
Well,
I
they're,
mean, I can ask again, it doesn't have to be, approved until, I don't think I have till October, but, because I have less than 10 that qualify, sort of, but I have more than that, because I have election workers that kind of qualify but don't. I don't know, the whole thing is,
right, before I approve this, I want to guarantee that these people actually qualify for
I'd
it.
say because you have time,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have to.
I can ask again.
Yeah, I would ask again, just to, this is to me, some of the businesses we're involved with, it certainly is a cumbersome
Yeah.
problem, and I think it's a terrible idea to pass this by the state legislature. So,
We could, include the snippet from MTA if we wanted to. Yes.
I mean, I can.
Pages after pages.
So would it be the pleasure of the board to table this item until next month?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna say that that's the consensus of the board.
10 pages of it, MTA.
That's table. Okay, fire department allocation. And Dan, I believe you want to talk about that?
I guess, the biggest thing I can ask is, right now, we're in the midst again of changing this from a fire board to a fire authority. I don't know the time frame that it's gonna take to complete this process. I understand you have some large outstanding bills or upcoming payments and stuff. And there's been well, we can cut the 200,000 that we have going to the fire department. As we have moved forward, we're moving forward with this process in this grant and potentially going out for bids within probably, I would hope, within the next 45 to 60 days. Okay, I don't think we're gonna get the fire authority thing situated in that time, and I don't think I'm gonna be able to get to a bank and get a loan going in that time frame for this. What I would ask, in working with Dave Carpenter and looking through our budget and what we have, our department's already allocated $500,000 towards this. Okay. With what I have in the fund balance and talking with our auditor and where I can go, I have about another $350,000 that I can tap into without getting me down to an extremely low balance ideally, the auditor says you wanna have at least 25 to 30% of your operating budget in reserve. So if I take with what I would have left and took out that much, I would have about 350,000 of leeway in my operating budget to contribute towards the remaining end of potentially what this could come. And again, this is a lot of potentials, because I don't have bids back yet. I don't know what that final number is. I'm going based on an estimate from the architect, and that estimate is now probably approaching about 6 to 8 months old at this time. So it could be a little higher, it could be less, I don't know.
The estimate was like 2.2.
It was 2.1, it was 2.1 something. It was under 2.2, I do know that. All I'm asking is that the board not take the $200,000 away that's been allocated towards this now. Let's wait till our pricing comes in, when we get our bids back, to determine what additional funds that I may need. I may not need any more.
Or it may be priced so high that we can't build.
We gotta go back to square one and start over with something. I don't know, but until I get those estimates back, I would just ask that you guys not take those funds away that have already been somewhat allocated towards this project.
I think the problem with that is we don't have that fund. You said you have to have a 35,000 or 35% of your budget in your fund balance. We have 900,000 in our fund balance. We're gonna have to spend 600,000 on this drain and 120 on an elevator that we've already signed a contract for. That only leaves us 200,000. That leaves us with a 0 fund balance.
And I feel like when it initially started, it was something where like, hey, we need a letter of intent.
Well, and that's where we were at, and I don't know where the letter ever, I can tell you where the letter is sitting. The letter is sitting in an email that was kind of put on hold from our attorney as we started to move forward with this fire authority, but I'm just afraid that we're not gonna get the fire authority aspect completed in a time frame for me to go to the bank and get the money, when the USDA is gonna say, I wanna see where the funds are. So now either one, and it clearly states in a lot of this, if there's shortage of funds and there is no allocations and all of this other stuff in place as these bids get open, we could lose the $1 million, and we're done. And I don't want to see that. We've worked very hard to get to where we are. I think my guys that work for me deserve it. This community deserves a upgrade in our fire station. I mean, our original station was built in the 60s. It was added on to in the 80s. And structurally, the building is structurally sound, but there's a lot of mechanicals that are starting to go on. And
There is no office.
Huh?
And
There is no office, no. I work out of an old bedroom in a house on a 2-story house. But like I said, it's up to your guys' decision, but this decision could very easily put a stall, stalemate, stop, or end to this project completely.
It's unfortunate because it puts you guys in a bad position and it puts us in a bad position, all because of the Nash project. Bottom line. And we have to have that money paid by the 31st of this month, which leaves us with no money anyway.
What is our, I can't see if we can find it now, what is our, on your treasurer's report, what is the bottom line that we got on the treasurer's?
1.4.
1.4 million.
That's the
No,
total.
that's the total.
That's
Total.
not the fund balance.
Fund balance is 900 some.
How long will this take to become, like, we've given approval to move forward with the village, I'm assuming we'll move forward to the next meeting. It would just seem to me, a little bit of attorney work to go from there. Could be conversation with the bank right now on, look, this is what we're assuming, what do you need? What would you need for moving?
I'm pretty certain in the past in dealing with Choice One, as we were dealing with them, as far as that, they needed to see signed agreements that we were an authority.
See, I keep thinking we're sitting here as a department in the township, and the funds he's looking for may or may not be needed. If they are needed, chances are, real good chances are, they won't be required until our next budget year even, after this year. Even if we get a contract and go out for contract in 60 days, you think anybody's gonna start by the end of the year and they're gonna need money by the end of March? I doubt it. So I'm thinking the budget, whatever they're gonna look for as additional funds, is gonna be pushed out to our next year's budget anyway.
Correct.
And our 600,000 that we're about to.
That's not gonna get pushed out anyway.
Affects the budget, not just this year, but next year and the year after, and there's gonna be budgeting arrangements, I would assume, years to follow to be able to get our balance back up.
Well, going back to Jim here, though, you see, there's two different, I'm asking Jim, have we got enough time to set the authority where we can borrow the money? And Jim seems to indicate that that's true. Is that true, Jim?
Well, I guess I just don't know the timing on the USDA or, grant issue, you know what I mean?
No.
You know, it's kind of, I'd work with you guys as quickly as we, need to. I know the village would, and, that kind of thing, but I think Dan's expressing concern over the grant piece. Getting out to bid. I don't think his concern had to do with the timing of the authorities so much as it was the bids and the grant, that kind of thing. Did I understand that right, Dan? Yes. Okay.
Yes, and I mean, if you're going to tell me that you're gonna withdraw the 200,000 that was.
Right, we've already allocated, it's already allocated in our current budget.
No, it's not.
What was, it was voted on in our budget.
No, it wasn't.
Well, certainly was.
No, it
Well,
wasn't.
I'll read from the minutes of that meeting that this was decided. And there was a motion by Goodfellow with a second by Bradford for the township to approve an additional 200,000 in funding for the fire department, subject to legal counsel oversight. So that's exactly, and it was passed
But
unanimously.
we have never gotten the final from legal counsel.
Well, we did. It's in your packet.
Right, but my understanding was they're gonna create that legal piece of it, the document, we're gonna review it and then say yes, because my understanding is if we just can't gift, it's illegal to just gift. And in return, we need something in service. They give us the fire department, all that, but we would need something additional in service. So nowhere in this contract or anything does it say, hey, we are also giving you additional of something, and it's like a bartering